Hi, this is Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Today we're making this super fabulous Aurora Dawn shawl. It is using 3 different kinds of yarn, or 2 different kinds of yarn, but 3 different yarns. We're using Magic Glitz. They're all from Ice Yarn, but we're using Magic Glitz and Baby Cotton 100G for joining. So it just feels fantastic, but the Magic Glitz also gives it a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of something fancy. And of course the border, my dragon teeth border, love that. How great is that border? If you just want to put this border on something that you are doing, I'll put a timestamp in the description box below of when this part of the tutorial starts, so you don't have to go through the whole thing if you just want to use the dragon tooth border on a different project. So I'm really loving it. It's like my favorite thing to wear. It doesn't take long. It is just 8 mile-a-minute stripes that are finished into a square shape and then a fancy border. What? We can totally do this. So if you want to use the same yarns as I am, you're welcome to. Their links will be in the description box below. You're also welcome to use whatever you have in your own yarnscape to make this fabulous beauty. So let's get started. To get started making this fabulous wrap, I am using 3 different yarns, but you're welcome to use whatever yarn you like. I'm using Magic Glitz from Ice Yarns. It is just such a beautiful colorway with a little bit of sparkle in it, so it just makes everything like just a little bit special. It is 95% acrylic and 5% lurex. Lurex is that metallic sparkle in there. 100 grams, 360 meters. It is a size 3 for thickness. And I'm also using this baby cotton. Baby cotton also comes in 100-gram balls. Now this is old stock. It used to come in 50-gram balls, but it is the same as baby cotton 100-gram. Gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. Super fabulous. So this yarn is 100% Giza cotton. These are 50 grams and 105 meters, but the 100-gram balls are the same. They are just 100 grams and 210 meters. So this is also a size 3 for thickness. Butter soft. Just makes you want to, this makes you want to wear it, and this makes it sparkly. So the cotton makes you want to wear it, and the Magic Glitz makes it special. Look at that. So this is what I'm using for mine. And we're just going to be alternating our strips however you feel like doing it, just so you have a little bit of glamour and a little bit of softness. We're also making these ends, so they're flat. So this is a little bit of a different way to start and finish each of our stripes. I'm using a 5mm hook for this project. I'm going to be starting with my Magic Glitz. We're going to make a whole bunch of our strips before we start joining. So we're going to start by making a slip knot. So I put the yarn over my non-dominant hand, hold it down on my ring finger with my thumb, and wrap it around the top 2 fingers, making a bit of an X. Flip my fingers over and just poke it under that space between my fingers, like that. Bring it through and pinch it down. Shrink it and put it onto my hook. We're going to start by doing a chain 7. So wrap your yarn and bring it through the loop on your hook. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we're going to be going into the 4th chain, either up or down, depending how you are looking at it. So we don't count the knot and we don't count what's on our hook. We just count these V's in between. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and we want to go into the 4th chain. So 1, 2, 3, there's 4, or 1, 2, 3, there's 4. It's the middle chain no matter what, and we want to be getting 2 loops on our hook. So wrap your yarn and go into that 4th chain, 2 loops on your hook, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, wrap your yarn and take off 2. So there is our first double crochet, and our chain also counts as a double crochet in this pattern. Chain 1 and 2 more double crochets into the same chain, the same spot. So there's 1 and 2 So that counts as 4 double crochets so far. Chain 1 and 2 more double crochets. We have to do this a total of 4 times. So there's 1 double crochet, here's 2. So that counts as 1, 2, 3 pairs. Chain 1 and 1 more double crochet into the same stitch or the same chain. And now we're going to slip stitch to the top of this chain 3. So right underneath the knot, doesn't matter 1 strand or 2 strands of that stitch on your hook, we just want to go in right underneath that knot. So push your hook in, grab your yarn and bring it through and through. So there's our little slip stitch, just like that. So now drop your tail. We're finished with that one. Chain 2, 1 and 2. And now into the same spot, the same hole in the center of our work, we're going to do 3 double crochets. So wrap your yarn and 3 double crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3, like that. Chain 2, 1 and 2. You can grab your ring or grab your stitch and your stitches, just slide it back so you have some more space, and 3 more double crochets into the same spot. 1, 2, and 3. So from here on, it's exactly the same as our other mile minutes. We're going to double crochet to the top of this chain 3 to join. So just to pull up that end there, not our first real double crochet, but the chain right beside it. We want to go into the 3rd chain. So wrap your yarn into the 3rd chain, 2 strands of that stitch on your hook. Grab your yarn and bring it back. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. Chain 2. So that is a double crochet with a chain 2. That's our wall. And turn your work. So now we're going to start building our strip, and we build it by doing 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and 3 more double crochets into the same space. That's how we're going to build every single row. There's your 2nd, and here's our 3rd. And now we're going to build our wall. So we're going to go into the top of the last double crochet, just right there. We want to get 2 strands of that stitch on our hook. Double crochet, so wrap your yarn into that stitch, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, or wrap your yarn and take off 2, and chain 2, 1, 2. So there's our wall. Now we're going to turn our work and do our shell. Our shell, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. Double crochet into the last stitch, chain 2. Turn your work, shell, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, wall, double crochet, chain 2. Turn your work, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, double crochet into the last stitch to start your wall, chain 2, and turn your work. Shell, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and then a wall. Turn your work. We're going to keep doing this until our strip is as long as we want it to be. To measure how long your strips are, we're just going to count our chiclets, just these little shells along the side. I don't count what is facing down. I don't count these stitches down. I just count each chiclet going up. So for mine, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Just count all the way up. For mine, I am doing 80. So 80 of these chiclets. I just count up the one side and I just pinch where I'm at, so I always know where I am at. If you need to put in a stitch marker, I just put it right in along the side, along the edge just here, so I know that this stitch, that is the chiclet, that is the number. You can put them every 20 or every 10 chiclets, just so you don't have to keep counting all the way from the beginning every time. So when you are one row short of how you want it to be, so this is my 79th row of chiclets, we're just going to end in the different way of putting in our sets of 2 double crochets. So wrap your yarn and 2 double crochets, 1, 2, chain 1, 2 double crochets. We need to do this 4 times. So 8 double crochets with a chain 1 in between each pair. There's 1, 2. Here's our third pair. So double crochet, chain 1, and you can count, there's 1, 2, and 3 pairs. So my last pair, so this is my 7th and 8th double crochet. Just like that. So there's 8 double crochets with a chain 1 in between each pair. And we're just going to do our double crochet the same way into the last stitch for our wall. And we're not making it any taller, so we're just going to do a chain 1, cut your yarn, pull your hook up and your yarn through, and snug that down to secure. So that is what the end of your strip will look like. So keep going, making a bunch of these strips. You will need half of them in your Magic Glitz, and then 25% in your pink and 25% in your peach. Twice as many Magic Glitz as there is pink, and twice as many Magic Glitz as there is in peach. If you're just using one color or your own yarn, you can make any amount that you like for yours, or all in Magic Glitz or all in the peach. You can do anything you want. So my strips are done. We're ready to start joining. So we want to join our yarn right before the last pair of double crochets. So this is going to be our corner, and we want to put our hook right in there. So there's our center, and it's the space right after. So there's the center. We want to go in the one right after. So put your hook in. Loop of yarn on your hook. I'm using the pink color now. Bring your yarn through, slip stitch with both strands to join, and drop your tail. We can work over it a tiny bit. And chain 2, 1 and 2. Now into the same spot, 2 more double crochets, 1 and 2. And now into each spot, going all the way along the side, 3 double crochets into each one. So into every space going along the side. We're not working into stitches or where anything joins, just these big spaces right before or after each chiclet. We're not going into where they hook onto the wall. We're leaving that one. We're just going into the big spaces, 3 double crochets into each space going all the way along the side. 3, 3. You can work over your tail for a little bit. Don't work over it the whole way because it'll start wiggling out later, but you can work over it for a few chiclets. Now I'm going to drop my tail to work it back with a needle later. And keep going along the whole side. It'll start looking like that. 3 double crochets into each of the big spaces. So on each side of a chiclet has 3 double crochets. Keep working your way along, and I'll meet you at the end of this side. I've made it back all the way around, and you can notice, or maybe yours is the same as mine, but it's really kind of curved. There's like a lot of stitches on one side and it's bunched up on the other. Don't worry about it. Mine looks the same way. It'll straighten out when we do the other side. So don't worry. We just keep going, working 3 double crochets into each space. This is the last chain. This is the last space along the side. And now we have our pairs of double crochets. So into the next space, after those 2 double crochets, we're going to do a corner. So our corner is 3 double crochets 1, 2, and 3, all into the same space. Chain 1 and 3 double crochets, all into the same spot like that. So that kind of works our way around the corner. Into the next chain 1 spot, after the next 2 double crochets, 3 double crochets into the space, 1, 2, and 3. Into the next chain 1 spot, or the next space, is going to be a corner. So we'll do 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And this is how far you're going to go on all of your other strips. You're going to stop right here. So all the way along one side, around the end, and just the first 3 double crochets into that corner space, we're going to start joining all the rest of the strips. But because this is our first strip, we are going to keep going and finish this one off completely. But your next strips, you're going to stop right here. For our first strip, we're going to keep going. So chain 1 and 3 more double crochets into the same space. There's 2 and 3, and then 3 double crochets into each space, going all the way down this side, starting right after that pair of double crochets. So 3 double crochets into each space all the way down this side, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. Keep working your way towards the end of the strip or the stripe. 3 double crochets into each space. And where our corner is going to be is the tip, the very pointy one in the center. That is just going to be a regular side, and our corner is going to be the one on each side of that. So this is a corner, and this one here is a corner. So the first space and the last space of our ending shell, or the shell on the end of our stripe, those are our corners. The center one is flat, that is our side. So into the first space after our pair of double crochets, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and 3 more double crochets into the same space. So this is our corner. Into the center space, 3 double crochets, just a regular shell, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to finish in the next space. So we started our corner, we just slide those stitches back. So wrap your yarn and 3 double crochets into the same space that we started, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and now we're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3. So there's our first chain way down at the bottom, our slip stitch, our second, and our third. If you want to just trace your double crochets back up, there's 1, 2, and it's the chain right after this stitch right there. You want to go in and you want to make sure you get 2 strands of that stitch onto your hook. So push your hook straight in, 2 loops of that stitch on your hook, bring your yarn back, turn your hook, and bring it through. So there's our slip stitch, chain 1 to secure your yarn, cut your yarn, pull your hook up and your yarn through, and snug that down to secure. So here's our first strip ready to go. Now get your second strip ready, and we're going to stop right in the middle of our corner. So we're going to go all the way along one side, along one end, and stop right after our 3 double crochets into that second corner. So remember, we want to join our yarn in our corner. So if you separate the 8 double crochets into the end bit, there's a center one and 2 on each side. Those are going to be our corners. We want to go in to the last one. So the last chain 1 space in the corner, or on the end shell, the last chain 1 spot on the end shell. Put your hook in, loop of yarn on your hook, leaving enough tail to sew in later. Bring it through, slip stitch with both to join, and drop your tail. This is with the baby cotton, so I'm going to be joining with the magic glitz. Chain 2 and 2 more double crochets into this corner space. And now keep going all the way around, all down this side, 3 double crochets into each space. When you get to the corner or the end of your strip, you're going to do your first corner, your side at the end, and start your second corner, and I'll meet you right there. I have worked all the way around and finished one corner, the middle of the end, and started the second corner. So I've just done my 3 double crochets, and now you want to get your next strip ready to go. And you want to make sure that your pretty little V's on the edge are facing up. You want to be joining to the pretty side. And you can also decide which end you want to join to. See, these colors are very similar, so I want to join to the opposite end where they're not the same. So this purple and blue, there's no purple and blue here, so I want mine to be opposite. But you could also do it so that one side is like your yellows and oranges and the other side is your purples and blues. Depends what you want to do. It's totally up to you, but just be mindful of it that you do have the option. So get your finished one laying above you and behaving pretty side up. And we want to go straight into this corner right there, our chain 1 spot. So 3 double crochets on each side. So hook down right in between those, right in that chain 1 spot, 3 double crochets on each side of your hook. Grab your yarn, just snag it with your hook and bring it up and through. Drop that strip that you finished. I just have my yarn, my hook, and the piece I'm working on. Now finish our corner, so 3 double crochets into the very same corner space, or the very same chain 1 spot. 3 double crochets. Lay everything back down flat. Find the space after the next 3 double crochets. Put your hook in. Snag your yarn and bring it up. Slip stitch, so just turn your hook, slip stitch, and 3 double crochets into the next space. So we're just going to keep doing this. This is how we're going to join all the way down the strip. We're going to do 3 double crochets into the strip we are working on and a slip stitch after every 3 double crochets into the space of the strip we've already finished the edge on. So slip stitch into the finished strip and 3 double crochets into each space of the strip we're joining. When you're doing your 3 double crochets, just let that other strip hang, or let your blanket or wrap hang. Don't worry about it. And then lay everything back down flat. Find your next space, go down into your space, grab your hook and bring it back, and slip stitch. Drop that finished piece again and just work on the strip you are joining. 3 double crochets. Lay everything flat. Find the next space after your 3 double crochets. Hook down, grab your yarn and bring it back. Turn your hook and bring it through. Let that one hang. 3 double crochets into the strip you're working on. 2 and 3. Lay everything nice and flat. Find the next space. Hook down. Grab your yarn and bring it back. Slip stitch to join. Let that hang and 3 double crochets into the next space of the strip you're joining. So this is what it looks like so far. Keep going and I'll meet you at the end of this row. So I did 3 double crochets down, slip stitch into the next space up. And the next space here, the chain 1 spot, is our corner. That tail's in the way. So 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and into that chain 1 spot of the row above, I'm going to slip stitch, turn our work a little bit, 3 double crochets into the same corner spot, or the same spot to turn it into a corner. So 1, 2, and 3. Into the center, 3 double crochets, the center space. 1, 2, and 3. And then our last spot where we joined our yarn, to slide those stitches back, 3 double crochets and a chain 1. 1, 2, and 3. To finish off that corner, chain 1, and we're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 to join. So 1, 2, 3. Just right here on the edge. Push your hook in, 2 strands of that stitch on your hook. Bring your yarn through, turn your hook, bring your yarn through for a slip stitch. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up, your yarn through, and snug that down. So now just keep joining strips in the same way until your wrap is the width you want it to be. When you have joined your last stripe, this is my last one here, I've finished going around, and I'm going to work this yarn all the way around the edge, so so the shawl kind of keeps its shape and gives us a base for the border on the ends. Instead of doing a chain 1 and slip stitch to join, we're just going to do a single crochet to join. So push your hook in to the top of the chain 3, bring your yarn back, wrap your yarn, and take off 2. So that's a single crochet to join, and it leaves us right in the middle of that corner. And we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. So we're just going to do chains and single crochets in between these stitches here. So single crochet into the gap, chain 2, single crochet into the next gap. So this is going to help our wrap not stretch out when we're wearing it. And now this little tiny bit here is a little tricky. So we're going to skip 2. We're going to go into the stitch on one side and single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet into the other side. So just that join is going to turn into a shell. Chain 2 into the space, single crochet. Chain 2 into the space, single crochet. And into the last double crochet before the join, single crochet. Chain 2. And into the double crochet after the join, single crochet, chain 2. Across the center of the stripe, easy, chain 2 and single crochet into the space. The join, single crochet into the double crochet before the join, chain 2, single crochet into the double crochet after the join. You might have to wiggle your stitches to find out where the center is and get into that very first double crochet. So keep going like this all the way along, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. When you reach the corner, I did my single crochet into the space before, my chain 2, into the corner space, single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet into the same corner space. So that just gives us a nice little spot and helps us work around that edge. Now just kind of rotate your work. We're going to work along this side. Now this one is nice and easy. Chain 2, and into each space, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet all the way along this edge, just like that. When you get to the next corner, single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet into the corner space, work along the edge, come back along the other side, and I'll meet you when you get back to where we started this round. When you get back to where you're joined, which is just in this corner here, I did my single crochet and chain 2 in the space before, so I'll single crochet and chain 1 into the corner space, And now I'm going to single crochet into the top of that single crochet on the other side of that join. So just this first stitch, single crochet, so bring your yarn back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and now into every space we're going to do 3 double crochets all along this edge. Each one of those spaces is getting 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3, and everything is right into the space. We're not doing anything into stitches, so it goes really nice and quick. It'll look like this working all the way along your blanket. We're just getting a really nice straight edge with stitches just on the one side, so we can do whatever border you want to put on after this, and that's what it looks like. So keep going, 3 double crochets into each space, and I'll meet you when we get to this end. And now into the chain 1 space at the corner, just in between those single crochets, we'll make 1 double crochet just to pull up that edge. We want it to be nice and straight. And now we're going to start working on our border. So chain 1, turn your work into the very first stitch. So this stitch right at the very beginning, this stitch right here, we're going to go into that one and make a single crochet and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, into the third. So right before the space, that stitch right at the top, right before the space, single crochet. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to skip 2 stitches and go into the third. So 1, 2, into the third. It's pretty much the stitch right before these spaces. It's going to go right into the top, 2 loops of that stitch on your hook and single crochet. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip 2 into the third, single crochet. So keep doing this all across your work, and I'll meet you when you get to the end. At the end of the row, we're just going to go right into that space in between our chain and our doubles. So just make your single crochet straight into that space and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Turn your work. And single crochet into the center of our chain from below. So just put your hook in, single crochet, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet. So just put your hook right into that big loopy area and single crochet, chain 5, single crochet into the chain space. You're going to do this one all the way across, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. At the end of this row, we're going to do the same thing. So chain 5 and single crochet into the space. And now we're going to chain 2, 1, and 2, and we're going to make a double crochet into the top of our single crochet, which is just down here. Just that stitch right there. So wrap your yarn, go right into that stitch at the bottom. We're just keeping a nice straight edge of our border, and make 1 double crochet. So that's kind of like a half shell on the very end. Chain 1 and turn your work. So into this first stitch, we're going to do a single crochet just right there. So push your hook in and single crochet. Now we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and single crochet into the loop. So now we're just pulling these loops nice and tight. Single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into the loop, chain 2, single crochet into the loop. So we're just bringing it in nice and tight, or back to the normal size. 1 and 2, single crochet into the loop, chain 2, 1, 2. Single crochet into the loop, chain 2. Single crochet into the loop, chain 2. So now it's looking like this. It's just getting to be the same stitch count as we did to start out. So it's pulling it all nice and back together. Keep going like this, single crochet into the loop, chain 2, single crochet into the loop all the way across, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. So I've done my chain 2, I'm just going to single crochet into that very last little half loop on the edge, just so it keeps everything nice and straight. Chain 1, turn your work. And don't worry if everything's a bit off center now, because it'll straighten itself out once we are wearing it and have finished the border. So into this very first stitch, right on the edge, we're going to do a single crochet into the stitch and 2 into the space. 1, 2. 1 into the stitch, just here. 2 into the space. So we're just getting our stitch count back and real stitches to work into for our next row. So 2 into every space and 1 into every stitch. So 1 into the stitch, 2 into the space, 1 into the stitch, 2 into the space. So just keep going like that all the way along, just putting stitches back so we can start the fun part of our border. So keep going and I'll meet you at the end. Getting close to the end, just keep doing the same thing. So there's a stitch, we're going to go in and make a single crochet, and there's a space, so that's 2 single crochets into the space, and we're going to end by putting a single crochet into this single crochet from down below. So you're just going to put your hook in, get 2 loops of that stitch on your hook, and make a single crochet. So we just keep a nice straight edge on our border. Chain 1 and turn your work. Single crochet into that very first stitch, the one right at the edge. So single crochet, and now chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to skip 2 stitches. Basically, if you look at your work, if you look at your border so far, you'll see where we have connected to our loop down below. So each spot where we've connected down below, we're going to connect again. It's the same as skipping 2 stitches, 1, 2, and working into the 3rd. But if you also just want to kind of look to where you've connected down below, and you want to go into the stitch above. So into the 3rd stitch, where it's connected to the loop below, we are going to wrap our yarn twice and do a treble crochet. To do a treble crochet, I hold my finger right on my hook so my loops don't spin around. I'm holding them with my finger. And put your hook in, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, wrap your yarn and take off 2, wrap your yarn and take off 2. So that is a treble crochet. It's like a triple takeoff. And now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Put your finger on your hook again and wrap your yarn twice. So you hold those loops on your hook, they don't spin around. Go into the very same spot, the very same stitch, and make 1 more treble crochet. So bring your yarn back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, wrap your yarn and take off 2, wrap your yarn and take off 2. So there's 2 treble crochets into the same stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Go into the next stitch where it's connected to the loop below and make a single crochet. So we're going to keep doing this all the way along, making these nice little loopy areas all across our row. So chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Wrap your yarn twice, hold them on your hook with your finger. Skip 2 stitches and into the 3rd. Grab your yarn and bring it back. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. So that's a treble crochet. Chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And make 1 more treble crochet. So keep your finger on your hook so your loops don't spin around. And 1 more treble crochet into the same stitch. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Skip 2 stitches, and we're just going to kind of pin it down. We're going to make a single crochet into the 3rd stitch. So single crochet. Chain 3 to start your next little mountain. Wrap your yarn twice, finger on your hook, treble crochet into the 3rd stitch. Chain 5. treble crochet into the same stitch, chain 3, skip 2 stitches, and into the third, or where it's connected to the loop down below, single crochet. So now keep doing that all the way along, making these pretty little mountains, and I will see you at the end of this row. So we've gotten to the end, and we have this weird kind of little bit left. Yours might be different than mine. It might depend on how many rows you did. Maybe if it's 9, it'll work out a little better than mine did. But with my 8 rows underneath, this is how my end is coming out, and it doesn't totally matter. I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and single crochet to that last stitch on the end, right there. Little single crochet. And instead of finishing my stitch with my old yarn, I'm just going to leave it like that and get my new yarn, the one I want to use for the bottom of my shawl. So I'm using the Magic Glitz. And I'm going to finish this single crochet with my Magic Glitz. So loop of yarn on my hook. I'm going to hold my old tail down and finish that single crochet with my new yarn. Drop my tail with my new yarn. So I'm holding both of those down and chain 1. So we can cut our old yarn, leave enough to sew in. We're going to have to sew that in with a needle. And turn our work. We still want to keep track of those tails. We want to be holding them down the side of our work. And into the same stitch, single crochet. And into the next single crochet, I'm going to single crochet again. So this is just how I'm kind of fudging my corner over here. And now we're going to start our regular border. So wrap your yarn, 1 double crochet into this first space, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet into the stitch, the top of that treble crochet. Just make sure you get 2 loops of that stitch on your hook. So 1 double crochet, and now 5 double crochets into the big space, the tall space. That gets 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it looks like that so far. Now we're going to do a picot. So chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to put our hook, let me pull my hook out for a sec. We're going to put our hook back down into the center of that stitch, so into the center of the V, and we're also going to pick up that little strand or that loop of yarn along the side. So down straight into the middle of the stitch, getting those 2 loops on our hook. So it looks like this. Push your hook in, 2 loops of that stitch on your hook, and slip stitch. So we bring our yarn back, turn your hook, and bring it through. And now 5 more double crochets into the same space. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1 double crochet into the stitch, and 1 double crochet into the space after that stitch. So that is our repeat for our border. And now to finish it, single crochet into the single crochet at the bottom. So right in there, 1 single crochet. And now we start that again. So 1 double crochet into the first space, 1 double crochet into the stitch, 5 double crochets after the stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to picot, so into the stitch, 2 loops on your hook, and slip stitch to picot. 5 more double crochets into the same space. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1 into the stitch, and 1 into the space after the stitch. single crochet to pin that all down. So just into that single crochet at the bottom, 1 single crochet. So our border looks like this so far. So now keep doing the same thing all the way along your work. Single crochet into the valley, 1 double crochet before the stitch, 1 into the stitch, 5 into the big loop, picot and 5 more, 1 into the stitch, 1 after the stitch, and pin it down with a single crochet. Repeat all the way along, and I'll meet you at the end. Petal, or your last repeat. So I finished my last petal, and I've done my double crochet into the stitch and after the stitch. So next is single crochet into the single crochet. And so our single crochet is this guy right down there. So I'm just going to single crochet right there to finish. Just to pin that one down, same as the rest. Single crochet, chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. So that is what it looks like. Just sew in your tails and you are finished. Isn't this the bomb diggity? I just love it. Do you love yours? Oh my goodness. I might need this in more colors. That's how great it is. So hit the subscribe button down below if you haven't subscribed to the channel already. I upload a video almost every weekday, live chat on Fridays, podcast on most Wednesdays, and tutorials and yarny bits in between. Love to have you join us. You can also find me on Instagram at Secret Yarnery. You can just tag me and I can see what colors you're using for your Aurora Dawn shawl. Or you can join our Facebook group, the Secret Yarnery Crochet Community. Who doesn't love this? Oh my gosh. This could be me for days. This is like what I can do. Oh, another thing, check this out. Hug shrug. Look at the sleeve. Wouldn't that be the coolest? I mean, pretty retro, but I'm still into it. So I go down the hallway like this, admiring my wrists. Look how great they are. Not joking. Stay hooked.